Hi everyone, it's Jen again. I hope you had another good week. I had a good week. I made my goal to finish the Aftermath by the end of the month. So that made me super happy because, anybody who's been following my kind of projected goals, I was thinking that I would need more time with Chapter 10
My lady.
and Chapter 11 in order to get them done comfortably. And Chapter 10 ended up being pretty easy to get out on time, even though I had been pretty sick for at least a week and kind of took me, I want to say, almost an entire month to fully recover from the cough. And chapter that made me feel pretty confident that I could finish Chapter 11 also in a month. And that ended up being harder than I thought it would be because if you look at the update notes, it was a lot of assets because originally I was planning on only making like 6 new drawings for it, for the Elite Bond Conversation 6 final conversations, for the full friendship and the full romance routes for the romanceable elite members. And as I was making those, I got them done pretty early on, and I was like, oh well, you know, I always kind of wanted to make a more detailed portrait for the common units. I was thinking a little bit of like the older Game Boy, no, I'm trying to think, was it Game Boy Advance? I always get confused with the handheld Nintendo games. Whichever one of those
My lady.
Fire Emblem games that was on
Transient.
the portable system. Gosh, I don't know. My brain is not working right now.
I thought
I haven't been
so.
sleeping that great the last couple nights. It's not unusual for me, but usually I can fall back asleep after I wake up in the middle of the night. But for whatever reason, I've been having trouble the last couple days, which thankfully I've been off work, so it hasn't affected me too much, but I think my brain is feeling a little bit foggy right now. But anyways, I'm really going off on a tangent. Those Fire Emblem games, how they would have battle sprites for like the mounted knight units, for the shield knight characters, for the archer characters, and for the mage characters, and those sprites would kind of all look the same but be like little color swaps. And then when you would see their portraits, then you could kind of see how they were wearing like the same uniforms or like similar uniforms, but they would be more detailed. They wouldn't be like perfectly reflected in the sprites.
Enough.
And so that's kind of what I wanted to do with the common units, and I thought, well, I have time. I will go ahead and make all the common units have their own sprite, and that would be a great way to wrap up their final conversations. So that was another 16 character arts. And then
My lady.
as I was writing the last of the Aftermath, I realized that the banquet scene was kind of longer than I anticipated. I had that dinner scene that was like a celebration for completing the sewers, that I had the characters with just like a illustration of all the 4 main characters that you have at that point, just kind of sitting in their alternate outfits. But there was the conversations that were going on in the banquet were lasting longer, so rather than, I guess, just having no character sprites there, or character sprites that weren't wearing any formal attire, I wanted the banquet to feel a little bit special. I wanted them to be wearing more formal outfits, so one illustration I felt like was going to stand there for too long, so then I thought, well, maybe I'll make a CG with just like the main love interest and friend elites, like the main 6 characters, and then since there's 2 different versions of the banquet, depending on if you supported the crown or if you supported the old ones, and I'm like, well, I could have another illustration with just those 3 characters. But those scenes were so short that I was like, it doesn't feel balanced to have like one artwork with the 6 characters that's going to be on the screen for like 90% of the scene, and then just like kind of flicker over to the other 3 characters for just like that little brief, like 5% or something like that. And because they're also waiting for Mieta to arrive, in the case of the crown, because the queen is always fashionably late. She's always the last one to show up. Yeah, then I really wouldn't be able to use that artwork for very long, and I felt like it would be too just visually dull to just have like no sprites on screen, or just the picture of the 6, and then there was like the option to talk to them individually, so I was like, well, it doesn't make sense to have all 6 of them there if you're kind of speaking with them one-on-one. So that's why I decided to also do all 13 of the elite units wearing their formal outfits. So it ended up being quite a few sprites. I think that's like 29 plus 6, 35 new pieces of art for this update. I'm very hyped about moving forward in December. I'm going to be working on a rework of Villain's Heart. I've got about 15 pages of notes of things that I want to add. I want to add scenes. I realized that there were some parts of the whole kind of crown side of the story that were vaguely alluded to, but I could be more clear about. Since it is kind of their moment to shine, I am going to go a little bit more detailed into like Michaelis's and Mieta's past, as well as like Jeth's role and as part of the assassins as a soul in us. So and
No, you don't.
probably do more to talk about like what happened between House Solanus and Solwell. So that should all be kind of like a fun little backstabbing political intrigue. As well as I'd like to add some more artwork to it. Mostly sprite updates, and adding the skill triggers and adding changing the artwork to the more smaller, efficient web M's and web P's, as opposed to like a lot of the PNGs that are in there right now. So it should cut down the overall size of the project, even if I add a lot more art to it. And
I must first review the evidence.
I want to add some more conversations, just a little bit more time with the characters, just because I feel like there's some things that I could flesh out a little bit more. And I'm going to be implementing the new systems so that there's less kind of like weird inconsistencies with like the units having like uppercase names or lowercase names in battle, because of the way that I had made those scripts. So I'm going to be updating a lot of the systems, so I think it's going to be a whole new build, but hopefully it'll have enough new content in there to warrant replaying for those who really like that game. Okay, alright, that's all I've got. Just talking about my future plans because I'm really excited. I'm really excited to work on the endings also, to kind of finish Arcane Dice Wars, which has been over 2 years in the making. My next project I don't think is going to be so big, because I think 2 years was pushing it a little bit. I think that was, yeah, maybe the game's getting a little bit too big for me. And I want to make my next project a little bit smaller. It's probably still going to be big. It's probably going to be more the size of a Villain's Heart, possibly a little bit bigger than Villain's Heart. But something that I think that I'm going to probably try to finish in a year's time frame instead of a 2 years plus time frame. And I'm looking forward to being able to experiment with some new gameplay mechanics there, and to start talking about my ideas for that project and sharing some of my my earlier conception stuff. I think I'm gonna start talking about that earlier this time as I'm like kind of putting together my design document and testing my initial systems and showing some concept art so that I can share a little bit more of that kind of pre-planning process with you. All right. Hope you have a good week coming up, and here's to the month of December. Wow, we're already in December. As always, don't forget to enjoy the process and take care. Bye. Oh yeah, I don't have my glasses on right now because I got tired of seeing myself with like these gigantic reflections in my eyes. But it's not because like I have contacts or I can see anything. I just got tired of like seeing myself in the video with these like these enormous computer reflections in my glasses. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I just realized I don't really need to see anything, so I'm just gonna take them off so I don't have to look at myself with this giant glares like I'm some kind of alien. Okay. Bye.
Take this opportunity